who are you? What do you want to do next? What are the pillars in your life that are going to make this next chapter as fruitful as the last? A lot of those answers were in community.
Remember the YBox? That life-changing little box that kept your Wi-Fi alive when Eskom said lights out. Today, we're meeting the man who baked that idea in a UCT classroom.
Oh, Mutual asked for 1,000. Can we make 1,000? What's the deadline? And I have a test on Friday.
Sold the first units off the back of a bake sale hustle, and is now seasoning South Africa's creative scene with events like Chamomile Live and candid conversations on the Posties podcast.
Artist is the most pure form of business. It's the most pure form of entrepreneurship because you're betting on yourself.
Thembalethu Hadebe is part inventor, part storyteller, and 100% proof that African creativity plus business savvy equals global flavor.
With all of the artists I work with, I always tell them that there's no ways you've written your best song. If you have, let's call it a day. And we got scammed. Who wrote that rule? Let's fire that guy.
If you vibed with the Posties podcast featuring Chief Matt, Kaabo Boy, Selena Jones, you already know his gift for pulling out stories that stick.
Just because it's necessarily in that nightlife scene, it doesn't mean you can't translate those exact skills in your lecture class.
Grab your notebook because the sauce is about to spill. Themba, let's cook.
Let's cook, boy.
Hey, welcome to the latest episode of the C.Cast. It's an absolute pleasure having you here today. Before we get into the next guest, I just want to give you a little bit of an idea of what this podcast is about. We are about connecting creativity and technology to uplift the African continent and connect the world to Africa. What we do is we chat to members of our communities. We give them a platform to share their story and to share how they are connecting Africa to the digital economy and the world to Africa. So before we get into this next guest, if you like our content, I just want to remind you to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what you think about the conversation. If you want to get more involved in the community, you can also join the WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code. In this group, we'll be able to share opportunities, knowledge with you, and you'll be able to meet other like-minded people of the community. So yeah, we hope to see you in the group soon. Until then, let's get into the episode.
Let's cook, boy. What an intro. Oh, wow. Even I was like, damn. One, someone did their research. Two, thank you for glazing the donut.
You're that guy, bro.
We're young, bro. You know, the story is still being written, but it's nice to reflect sometimes and hear some of the work that I might not think about on a daily basis anymore. You know what I mean?
Bro, that's the one thing that I think people don't understand about South Africa and Africa is the amount of talent and the things that are happening here. And that's why this platform exists, is to share those stories. So we love starting off by giving the guest a bit of a sense of, you did that. Because you did that, bro.
You also did that. You gave me that exact sense. And I love how you touched on a little bit there of like it happening in Africa because the stories are always there. Like beautiful stuff is happening all the time, innovative stuff that's taking, whether it's entertainment, whether it's tech, whether it's anything really in the space, it's taken to another level. But that like platforms like this, like we're speaking about defining, Posties, having a place to document those stories in different kinds of mediums, it might not see the value now, but like when you add another year, 2 years, 5, even now, I'm sure, I don't know when's the last time you watched your first podcast. Like the first episode, I'm sure you look at it and you're like,
I'm kind of scared.
Maybe a little bit of cringe, but then also like, wow, the journey to where we've come now has been so fulfilling. And it's only the beginning kind of thing.
And it's crazy because you're one of the few people that I know that thinks long term. And, when you take little steps day by day by day, you don't realize the progress that you're making because it feels like such small steps. But when you take a look back to 5 years ago and you see where you were then compared to where you are now, you start to realize the progress that you've made. And I think, that's what I love about having friends and people in my life that have such big goals and ambitions, is because when you look at that, you think it's like such a big mountain ahead of you. But when you think about like the concept of time and how, there's a lot of time to get there. As long as you're moving forward, you make progress. And when you're around people that are also doing that, it makes it so much easier because you see the progress that they're making, and then that ties and weaves into your journey and weaves out again. But talking about like that thing of like looking back, you started out with a very interesting business venture, and we're going to get into that. But before we get into that, I would like to find out from you, like, where did the interest in entrepreneurship start for you?
Oh, that is a good question. I can't say it's always been there. On some, I know that okay, I want to sell something, or necessarily that I've actually been good in communicating a need for a product or a service. In high school and definitely in primary school, I was very shy. Um, but that I think there was a quiet confidence that probably came in my academics where I was still good with people. Like I might not be the loudest in the room right now, but everyone I've spoken to everyone today. I know what's happening in people's lives. They know what's happening in mine. Um, so I think that sense of kind of like community and like humanity has always been there, and then that also kind of like breeds into other things now. Now that you know that this person is good at this too, you kind of I've always tried to think about, oh, how can I add to that? Because like you're talking about like the dreams that the people in our lives have, it's happening a little bit now where those dreams are kind of like they're complementary. But if they were complementary now, that means they've always been complementary. We just have the skills now to one see it and actually make something of it. But bro, I only really felt entrepreneurial in uni. I think I found myself in uni, or found who I was supposed to be in a sense, or elements of it in university. So I can't say. I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, you know what, I was selling chappies in my tuck shop when I was in like grade 3. No, like none of that was happening. I was stuck in my books and FIFA, back and forth.
Wow. And like when you say you found it in uni, was there like a specific moment where that happened, or like what changed in uni that kind of made you awaken to that part of you?
The sense of independence, leaving, because I'm born East London, then moved to Durban, then moved to Joburg, where I spent most of my, I'd say, youth up until matric, where I was like, you know what, um, I have to go to Cape Town. There was just a longing for one, that freedom, but also just to try something new. Like it was just yearning in me. I'd never been to Cape Town before. I can't tell you that, oh no, I love the ocean, that's why I went. Nah, it was just a thing of like I need to go. And then when I did go, it was scary because it's a new space, you don't know the people. It was just myself and Kaho from like our core friendship and thinking that went to Cape Town. So you're starting afresh. And what's nice is that I started afresh and God's plan. Literally day one, I met Abo. Um, so you will find your community if you just like put yourself in those kind of like untested waters. But in I wouldn't say there's a specific moment, Josh, where I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm finding myself. But it was that freedom to be able to try things, fail, speak to that person, learn this experience, upskill. And even like the uni journey where it's like you go to study one thing, specifically in my case, and then it kind of diverts in a different way. And you can feel a sense of failure because there's a set out plan that your parents transcribe to you when you already also like you believe in it. You're like, you know what? I've gotten these certain marks. I'm going to this university. I need to achieve this. And when specifically in that first year, you're starting to fail for the first time, and it really feels like failure. Because like when you're used to distinctions and everything, that's the bee's knees, man. You get there and this multiple choice test, you got less than 50. It's like, whoa.
You also that kid that in school would be able to get high marks without studying much?
Yes and no. It was subject specific. I didn't mind studying. Like I think I've always, if there's one thing I've kept, is always that like learning. Like I love learning new things. I love learning about film. I love learning about business. I love learning about things that I didn't know about before. But when it came to like specifically numbers, that was a breeze, man. Like the preseason was just getting there with the books, and then like I looked forward to tests. It was a weird feeling where it's like it's a little bit like being on this platform now. Like there's a nerves that comes with it, but like what you need to amplify that nervousness is to actually jump in the pool. Get in the pool, try that thing, see what happens from there. Because there's one thing Alex and I always talk about this thing. We're like, we never want to be those old timers who have regret on some, oh, that could have happened, but then this, and then, like, I'd rather try everything and fail at everything.
Yeah.
Because at least then I tried. And then it wasn't for me. That wasn't the plan. And that's okay. But if I just, oh, what if I had done that? What if I had, no, that's just not for me. But yeah, there wasn't a specific moment, but it was the culmination of meeting people in a new space, in a new city, and finding myself in ways that I see that I'm not as shy. I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about what it means to be in the world for me, and that vision isn't necessarily the same one that I had in high school. That might have been painted but with a different brush. But like when the paintbrush is in my hands, you can kind of paint the canvas how you want to. And if you mess up a bit, it's not that you messed up, it's just that it's unique in a different way now. You can cover it up if you will, or you can kind of see the beauty in that too. So, yeah.
That's a very big differentiating factor for people that are successful, is like that ability to be or to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because I mean, for me, it was, if you're comfortable with the uncomfortable, you know you're in a place where you are going to grow in some or other way. But it's a difficult place to be in. Like a lot of us, well, not many of us actually go searching for that, but a lot of us find ourselves in that position. Um, but you sound like you're someone who like kind of looks for that or searches for that.
I think that I'm quite adaptable when I find that situation, because I feel like a lot of things find me. Um, Whether it's, except Cape Town, I found Cape Town, but the things that happened in Cape Town definitely found me. Like with regards to being social and whatnot, I think this would have been one of the first times we met, like through Abu. Like I didn't plan to ever like promote in the club, but like I learned so much about myself with regards to marketing yourself, um not being shy to talk to that person in the corner, because you don't know their story, you don't know how they could amplify your life or vice versa. And just because it's necessarily in that nightlife scene very early in uni, it doesn't mean you can't translate those exact skills the next day from in your lecture class, where you might be a little bit shy to ask that question that everyone's gonna laugh at and think that is stupid. But if you ask it, you get that answer you want to. And like I think I've always had the skill or the ability to translate skills from one thing to another. So like the example with putting yourself out there. Putting yourself out there doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the most confident person. You're willing to try. And if that's willing to try and skydive, that's cool. Or willing to try and start that business. Like I think I definitely have a very maybe healthy and unhealthy relationship with risk. Like there's something about, it could fail, hey? But that percentage there where we make it, oh, I live for that story, bro. That story, oh, Josh, we'll talk about that story forever, bro. Because we did it. Like we didn't even think we could do it. It just sounded crazy and enticing and empowering. And then you did it. And then it's like, then it becomes the intro now, where it's like, bro, that's your story. You did that. No one can take that away from you. As much as there was blood, sweat, and tears and disbelief and hate. Hate is a big one. Um, it still happened. And even if it didn't, you got lessons from that because you tried.
Nice. Do you stay away from the casino?
I've dabbled with it, but I definitely I'm not big on Betway and all of the things, because I think that's definitely, I do think I have an addictive personality, where I see it with my confectionery goods. I'll try something and I'll like that thing for 6 weeks, and then I won't touch it again, kind of thing. So no, gambling, no, know your vice.
I mean, the reason why I brought that up is because gambling is like a major thing that's, happening across South Africa right now, in Africa and the continent even. So, and I think,
I think it's misguided energy, because I think a lot of people that gamble or that are on these betting platforms do that because they have that drive for the what if, right? That's what pushes you to do it.
In something where it's not necessarily going to give you the return that you expect. But with that one, and I love that you brought up the betting like industry, because I see that as a mismatch. I think that the guys that are behind it are some of the best marketers, and the kind of the business model is set up one for the consumer to fail, but they're also conditioned to continue failing. So that means you have like a business that will continue to repeat. Like, even though I know that Man United might lose tonight, I'm still gonna put that money in it.
I'm not putting money on Man U ever, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm never doing that too. Hopefully, when this comes out, we won the Europa League final.
Hey,
Sorry, Tiamo.
we'll see tonight.
We'll see tonight. But I think it's a mismatch where, or they probably don't see it as a mismatch, where the consumer and the product is so addictive, and the marketing on the other side is so good that you can't really break the wheel. That's why I think regulation is very important, and making sure that people are making safe and cognizant decisions, and obviously of a betting age and all these kinds of things. But yeah, bro, gambling is right up there with all these other vices when you talk about alcohol, all these kind of things, which is crazy to me that they always have the best marketing teams. Like, it's bro, we've been watching alcohol ads our entire lives, and they've banged. I still remember. I don't remember the brand, but it's some celebrity, and they're driving in a car, and in the back, and he's just talking to you. I don't even want what you're selling, but wow, what an ad! You know what I mean?
Africa's, dude, our ads are unmatched, bro.
TVCs. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget the Hunter's ad when they are in the tundra.
yeah.
Yeah, bro, and it's like, yeah, it's ice, and oh, dude, just the way it's filmed, it's like you can feel the crisp of it in your mouth while you're watching it. You're like, damn,
And I
how
don't
did
even
they
know what
do
this tastes
this?
like.
Yeah, literally, like, yeah, no, it's interesting, hey, because like I think one of the reasons why they have the best marketing teams because these guys are making money. So obviously, there's the incentive is there to join that if you are talented and you have the capability. But it always makes me wonder, like, what would it look like if we use those minds in a different direction, or we're able to, you know, uplift and not really take away. Because I think, like you said, regulation in those industries is super important because it does go a bit downhill. It's a little bit of a touchy subject, but I think moving on, right? Let's talk about Arion Power. Like, what is Arion Power for the person who doesn't know?
Okay, so it was 2020. So I had finished my undergrad at UCT at the end of 2019, and I did not get into ecos honors. And that was kind of another one of those failure moments in my life where I was like, what next now? Like, this was the plan. It hasn't worked out because of what's this, me not applying myself to the level that I think I could have.
So, wait, you were going to be an economist?
Yes, because my undergrad is in management studies, ecos, and then I'll get into my postgrad now. But I was very lost. I was very lost. And funny enough, one of my best friends was also lost at the time, but we both found something very soon, which is so thing. But I spoke to Sishi, and he was like, "Bro, I just finished up this course in entrepreneurship. I think it's up your alley. Like, I think apply, you're gonna get in. Like, just tackle this thing." And I'm like, oh, "Dog, I'm still beat up about this thing. I don't think it's gonna work out. I don't know." But I listen to him and I apply, and I get in. And then we start operating up, but like everything starts later for me. And the way the postgraduate diploma in entrepreneurship works at UCT is that it's kind of set up for groups in the cohort to start businesses together, and then you get marked on that business. So you get marked on your marketing plan, you get marked on like how the business does during the year, and then you also whoever makes the most money wins a prize at the end of the year. All these kinds of things. Cool. So the way it started, I started a week late. So I'd missed the orientation, I'd missed this, and a couple of my people that were going to be in my group too, the same. So I think well, I missed it and I actually never got the story now that I think about it. But the choosing process, everyone chose like their teams, and then there were five, well, six, but five people that were left out, and those five people had to be in a group now, and that was myself, Brian Gadisi, Alan Gee, Duran Palsa, and Cecilia Gale. And yeah, we start the course together. We don't really know what's gonna happen here. We're going to class. We're thinking, remember, guys, this is 2020. And then Alan had made this small UPS system at home because he just wanted to watch Netflix. And he didn't want to get an inverter like his parents had. He just wanted this. And we were kind of struggling to find what business we were going to start for the year. I think we at that time we had already had the cake sale, and we had initially thought we were going to do really well in the cake sale, but then one of our deals fell through. It was a consignment deal with a brand that I won't mention because I still don't ever work with them. It was a consignment deal that fell through, and that was kind of all of our profit lost. Not profit loss, but like of what we had projected to have. So to go to another plan. So we kind of fallen it on some okay, and Alan was very gracious to be like, guys, this business is falling. I can't handle this with studying and whatnot because he had already been selling a few, but like it was like it wasn't picking up traction. Like, guys, let's just all do this together. Like we've got the things here, and we were like,
Sorry to interrupt. So the cake sale, was that like a fundraising?
each year in the thing, it's a fundraising activity for you to be able to fund whatever project the different group members actually pick to go towards. So people they sell popcorn, they sell things. The really, really guys that are tapped in then via business are getting BMW to put a car there because that is exposure for like they thinking in retrospect, some of the people in my cohort were thinking ahead of the game because that's how I think about events, like with events now. Like this, to be here, you have to pay money because that's what's important. Um, so we all got in there. We started it. Alan taught us how to make this thing, and now we're learning the processes. We're all kind of falling into the things, our niches that we find comfortable. I'm, I fall into marketing because I think because of my team members and just because of probably my personality too. Brian falls into finance, Alan falls into production, and we kind of all settle and then we start operating. Sales are very slow in the beginning because there's not necessarily a need for the product, or we're not able to articulate the need for a product to a greater audience yet. We're just starting this thing. Like we're students, for first and foremost, we're students. We're going to school every day. We're taking these classes, we're taking these tests. Um, and then COVID hits. We're not going to class as much, things are working from home, all these things are happening. And then while the curriculum is shifting to kind of thing that we have a focus group. We do this focus group because one, it's in the course outline, we have to do this. And then one of the people in the focus group drops out. And then Cecilia gets one of her friends' moms to jump in. So we have the focus group, we're telling them about the products, we're going in detail, we're selling them to them, cool. I think probably the next week or a week passes. And then that same mom that miraculously came into that focus group says, Cecilia, that product thing, I talked to my boss about it and he really likes it. Would you guys be keen to do a pitch? We're like, whoa, something's happening, and we don't understand the scale of all these things. We're just like, let's get together, let's put a pitch together. We also don't know who we're speaking to. So now, cool, we send in our emails, whatever, everything gets set up. We get the email address back. We see the what do you call the thing where it's at the domain? We see the domain, Old Mutual. It's like, whoa, your boss. We start Googling the guy now. So now the kind of magnitude of situation dawns on us. Because we're like, wait, why? It's not like we're selling this thing like that now. Why are these guys even interested in this? So now the nerves build up to it's a virtual meeting. All of us are in our rooms, masks are not too far away. We're tapping into this thing. Luckily, we all have YBoxes, so load shedding is gonna stop us from going through this. And we pitch, man, and it went amazing. It went better than he was receptive. He asked questions that we had answers for. We added, everyone brought it. I was so proud of our team. And so much so that that's the first kind of time we're pitching to someone who has the power to make something like great change. And now he starts talking about, okay, production capacity. When like he's having he's moving the conversation where we're like, okay, these we don't have answers for, but like these are really good questions. Like this, is this happening? Like we kind of feel that kind of way. And yeah, just to fast forward like that rest of that year, we started supplying corporates with that work from home solution, because everyone's working from home. They still need to be productive. Load shedding was one of the worst years. That was the worst year at that time that we had. And then we start pushing products. We become essential workers. We're commuting. Our offices were in Muizenberg. We're commuting to Muizenberg to one. It's ourselves. It's the five of us. We're making these things. Now we're employing staff. Now everything's working really fast. Remember, we're still studying. Like we still have to do tests with things, but like revenue is ramping up, and production is ramping up, and we're all realizing these things together. And that's why I'll always be grateful for those five, because first of all, we didn't pick each other. We kind of fell into each other's laps, and this opportunity also fell into our laps. And in that first year, oh wow, we were hit from all sides. Like there were times all of us had COVID. Someone would have COVID here. Now we can't get into the office. Do we stop production? All mutual ask for 1,000. Can we make 1,000? Like, what's the deadline? All of what is a purchase order? Like, all of these things are happening for people that don't know what is happening. And I have a test on Friday. So like all this happening at the same time, but we're making it through. We're making it through, and then as the years running up, and like we obviously, okay, not obviously, but we have the best business, because it's extremely successful. I think it's still the most successful business that's ever been in the cohort. I will check that fact, but I'm pretty sure that's correct, because well done to the Arion Power team. uh, um, but then after that, and I think I'm speed rolling through your question now, a little bit now, but it gets really real, because we had only all signed up for this to study. And now it's like, oh, okay, we were supposed to start. It became a job during the course, like a full-time job during the course. Um, but now you think about your future a little bit more now. And it's a little bit of the thing of we spoke about on some, you can, if you try something, there's a large percentage that it could fail. But we were in that percentage where it's working and people need this. And we were getting media exposure, we're on the news, like all of these things are happening for the first time. And like what's like conversations were being had about like us being pushed for certain funding and all these kind of things, where it's like these are real life decisions. For at the time we really felt like kids, kids that weren't necessarily, I wouldn't say equipped, because that would say that things failed. We were definitely equipped, but we didn't feel equipped. It felt like we were milly rocking through every single situation, and it just kept working out. So that's kind of the history of the genesis of Arion Power.
And what would you say was like the biggest situation where you felt like you were absolutely getting cooked?
Oh my goodness, there were a few. But it was probably in our second year where it ended up being Brian, Allen, and I, and we got scammed.
Ah,
I'll never forget this. So as you know, in businesses, ebbs and flows. You're learning all these things, cash flow, all these kind of things, and we're in a sticky situation where we're waiting for certain orders to come through. That we've gotten all the clearance for, everything's gonna happen. Like, but like financially, like it's not cutting. Maybe there also was like a month without load shedding. So also now you're being creative with the ways to market this flagship product. We're also trying to expand into other things so that as a business it doesn't fail. Um, and Brian and I get this email. Very, very great language in it, and it just looked legit. The documentation, everything. We're looking at it, and like in retrospect, it was too easy. too many things were happening. It was just everything was going, and we paid the money. We paid the money because we were told the return was going to be a certain level, and like that was at the time. I'll always forget the amount. That's was it 37,700 rand for a startup, and a startup waiting for the next thing to happen, and not that we were ever like it was ever going to be a shutdown or whatnot, but it was just heartbreaking because you go from the hope of, okay, this is the next thing that gets us out, gets us through to this, to, oh my goodness, we're at negative now. Like, how do we think? But like, yeah, that was definitely one of those moments. I think it was also, yeah, long spates because of the business that we had founded, and especially at the start where we were very reliant on the YBox. When there wasn't load shedding, we had to be really creative. Money had to last a little bit longer. We had to sell different things. We had to pitch better with regards to why do you need this thing? Because that pressure point, you know exactly why you need it when the power's off. Easy sell. So, as soon as load
Options
shedding,
are there.
bro.
You're like, yes, come again.
and
that
then you see our
pushes you.
ad. Ugh.
Yeah, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, like every time it was crazy. It was like clockwork. Load shedding's off, sales. Um, so when it wasn't load shedding, that's when, okay, are you really an entrepreneur? Are you really a businessman? Because now you're gonna test it. Because anyone, in retrospect, a lot of people could have been in our position and gotten to where we had gotten to, like, at least in the first year. But then after that, it's like, okay, are you guys really running a business here? Because first of all, it's not just our necks on the line now. We've got employees, we've got staff, we've signed things, we have clients that we have to, how important client relationships are. So to answer your question long-windedly, it was an amalgamation of all those things where it's like, okay, it's it's so beautiful being a business owner, but it's tough. But it's satisfying, it's worthwhile, it's fulfilling. Because like at the end of the day, when you get to that percentage where it works, I live for that moment, man. I really do.
And through those like moments where things were dipping, where things were hard, when you needed to be creative, like what were the lessons that you took away from those experiences?
Communication with your partners, with the people that are involved on some, how are we feeling? What are we thinking? How are we going to get out of this? Not to necessarily blame anyone for a certain thing. Like with the case there, Alan didn't blame us. He knew why it happened, but he was like, "What's next? We're here now. Cool. Let's put on our boots. Let's get to work." So it's definitely the communication. It's the resilience, and it's really that long term thinking. Like it could really, really be bad right now, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be bad. And I think it's that hope that has to get you through it. Because like if you're an entrepreneur and you're not hopeful, what are we doing? Like you have to hope in whatever you're selling, whatever your services, whatever you're trying to build. Like there must be that innate drive that it will work. Because if you don't believe it will work, no one else will. That person you're selling that product to will be like, I don't think you like this thing. And if they think that, why would they buy it? You know? So definitely resilience, teamwork, communication, but also community. Because in those times, I definitely leaned on my mom, my sister, all of my boys. Shout out the bowling club. Um, just to be a shoulder to cry on, someone to listen, even if you don't necessarily understand the struggle that I'm going through right now. It's a willing ear. It's a willing ear to be like, yo, bruh, that's really tough, but you've come this far, and also God's put you in this position. Would He really put you in that position to fail? I don't think so. So I think the people that have had belief in me, I definitely struggle with. I don't necessarily struggle with belief in myself, but I'm not gonna be the first person to tell myself, "Yeah, you're the guy." Like I just want to work, man, And I'm surrounded by so many talented individuals that are always inspiring me, that I don't have to look within too much. Like, I just want to stay in this room. And the only way I'm gonna stay in this room is if iron sharpens iron. And if that iron is telling you, bro, you deserve to be here, you're gonna make it. This is working, this is worthwhile. Keep going. Why wouldn't you?
Hey, hold on, hold on. I just need to remind you very quickly to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what you think about this episode. We need to be able to tell the algorithm on YouTube that we are creating content that is valuable. So please engage with this content, whether you're listening to it on YouTube or on Spotify or whatever platform, please engage. It just helps us reach more people, brings more people into the community, which means more access to knowledge and opportunities for you, a member of the community. So please don't forget to engage on this video or this audio podcast and leave a like, comment, or subscribe and give it a share. Thank you so much. We'll hop back into the episode.
And now you also mentioned that you took on a lot of the sales and the marketing side of that business, right? At the same time, you were also now doing promoting at the club, and you mentioned earlier how you feel like one of the abilities that you have is to transfer your skills from different spaces into one another. Do you feel like you promoting events helped you with your sales and marketing in Arion Power?
1000%. I think that I didn't continue promoting into Arion Power though. That was first, second year. Ooh, we had a run. And then after, when it was Arion Power time, it was Arion Power time. Like, it was something that took up all of our time. But those skills, even like through like even and maybe I'm taking this a little bit here, but like even when I left Arion, it was a thing of like I wasn't sure those skills would translate. I was definitely in a space where I'm like, whoa, what's next? What do I use to here? Cool, I'm an entrepreneur. Cool, we've won some prizes and stuff like that. But like, who am I? Like, what do I do next? That question. And one of my friends, Shay, she was like, no one ever talks about the quarter life crisis, and I'm like, real. That who are you? Who do you want to be? Oh, that's real, bro. So it was pleasantly surprising that those skills translated so seamlessly. Because if you can sell something, you might not know it, but you can sell anything. Because you know what pressure points to think on. You know what story to tell to get Josh to purchase this thing. You see him, you're like, okay, cool, this is the archetype of him. It's this age, is in this tax bracket, he needs these kind of things. You paint the picture of what his life is like. And then you see how either your product or service fits in that. And once you've told that story to yourself, you tell it to him. If he doesn't want it, it's okay. There's other Joshes out there. Now it's your job to find them and sell that to them. So once I had that understanding, and also I've had incredible teachers telling me how to start a business, sustain a business, scale a business, market yourself, market your product. Having all of those things, when you actively do it every single day, it becomes second nature. When you're sitting on a podcast right now, what I love about this kind of medium is that you're always selling yourself, but it never feels like it. You're selling creative services right now that you've gotten amazing clients from. And that's just natural. That's not us on a script before on some, okay, Themba, we need to get this client here. So I need you at 20 minutes, 33 seconds to say this. No, you've done the 10,000 hours. You've got that XP. It's just about that muscle memory that just makes it natural, you know? So I did not think the skills were translatable at all. I definitely feel grateful that I don't have to think about it. I can say it comes naturally. There's definitely times where I'm like, okay, no, let's switch on. This one's important. Or I also like, I think I get this from podcasting, but like I really like to be prepared for a conversation. And not just a conversation on camera, but like if I know so and so's in the room, like, and I happen to be an admirer of you and I saw you on Instagram, I'm gonna ask you about the dog that I see and eating all the time, because that's already the human connection. That's what's beautiful about digital, is that you have a little bit more of the story. Sometimes you have too much. But if the people with the right EQ and whatnot, you've got a window and an opportunity into someone else's life. Once I've said that thing, and it's happened millions of times where you have a conversation with someone and you just say the right thing. But the secret sauce is that there's a cheat code in saying the right thing. You get it wrong. Like sometimes you'll be wrong, but like humans are complex but simple. Like humans just want to communicate however they communicate. And they just want to feel safe, man. They want to still feel safe in their craft. They want to feel safe in their community. And in one way or another, they want to grow. If that growing happens alone, if that growing happens with people, if that growing happens in something that you pour your heart into, it's growing. And I think that's innately human. That's why we reproduce. That's why there's so many of us here. And there's been so many of us before, and there's going to be so many of us after, because there's more. So you're not going to find that there isn't more if you don't speak to that person. Speak to that person, that's another story. You've added to your story. And it's like, I think, and that's one of the things that I really love about just connection and like community is that the stories. And it's one of the biggest things via Posties is that, and I'd also love to hear you from your mouth what C.Cast means to you. But like the biggest thing I gain from Posties is the stories. It's the stories and the network. Like being able to sit down with people and through some experience on my side too, being able to get an authentic answer about yourself. You know, you don't have to be press trained to be sitting here. The reason you're sitting here is because you're doing something I admire. You're resilient, you build something, you're authentically yourself, whatever it is. And you have graced me with telling that story right now while we sit here and we just talk, you know, and whether we're talking about Grammys you won or we're talking about how that sacrifice really got you through whatever happened there, that story is important, man. And I feel like that story is important for us to tell because there's been so many times, even we talk on the phone, we send VNs back and forth, and the relatability that we have with our friends in the sense that even though it's different, we're going through the same stuff, man. And it's just like, it's reassuring when you're like, oh, other people are also in the trenches with me right now and they believe they're going to make it through with me.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. I put on my Captain America thing and I'm ready to go, bro. So I don't even remember where we were with the question.
No, bro. Like, as you're speaking, I was thinking about, you're talking about sales and like the humanity behind it. And I remember when I was also younger, you mentioned earlier that you were always a quiet kid. And I think a lot of the time I was also a quiet kid. And I think the benefit of being a quiet kid is most people want to talk, and like put themselves out into the world. But when you're the one who's quiet and you listen, you learn so much about people. And I think a lot of people that are quiet kind of feel like they don't get a chance to speak or, but that there's actually a superpower in that. And it's that you actually listen. You take in a lot more than what other people do. And from that, you gain insights. And from what I can hear that you're saying, and just also my experience knowing you, you're able to translate those insights into certain networks and connections that help, not just build what you're building, but also building what that person's building. And when you're able to connect with people in that way, you make people feel something. And one of the most important lessons that I've learned from sales is people make decisions based off of how they feel. If you feel safe and you feel that like this person's trustworthy, you're much more likely to give them your money than if it's the opposite. So I can see that on your path. And just talking about like someone who's now gone from like the entertainment space now to like energy and electricity, and now has gone back to the entertainment space. Like, what was that transition like? Do you feel like, I don't want to put it in your mouth, but like, was there ever a point where you kind of like felt misunderstood throughout that transition phase?
So, going back to a little bit of what we touched on before, I feel like in my adult life, I've fallen into a lot of things. I've fallen into, like, I've fallen into blessings. I did not ever ask for the friends that I have, and then but they found me and I found them, and it's beautiful. And the same thing happened with Arion Power. But as like talking about the quarter life crisis, there definitely came a point at Arion where I just wasn't myself. I wasn't able to give off something that I had created with people that I care about. Like my partners were everything. Where it's a thing of like I'm not able to show up and I don't know why. And it was a very difficult time because it was one, I was still drinking at the time. Um, and I was just battling finding myself. And doing that when I'm also very productivity driven. If I'm productive, I'm probably okay. If I'm not productive and then there's other stuff happening too, then there might be a spiral coming. So battling with that all through that journey of finding myself. And it was very tough. It was very tough, and it came with a lot of lessons that were impossible to learn at the time. So when that shift came about, and beautifully amicable shift, Brian, Alan, those are my brothers for life. Um, it was quite scary, as I said, because I did not know the skills were transferable, but also because I didn't know entertainment was next again. um, I, I knew that I wanted to try something. I knew I had certain skills. I think the first another just tidbit. I've never gotten a job I've applied for. Every job I've gotten is I sat with you, we spoke, bro. Can you do this? Okay, and then or it was a business I started, but it was a thing of okay, what, who are you? What do you want to do next? What are the pillars in your life that are going to make this next chapter as fruitful as the last? And a lot of those answers were in community because that shift to entertainment was a phone call with a long friend of mine, Tashinga, where he was like, um, bro, I know you're busy with Arian, whatever. I really need someone to run my businesses because I'm so busy with everything I'm doing right now, and I really don't want my baby to fall. And I was like, whoa, crazy timing. I actually, I'd love to give a shot in this. And then we started working together. That was almost 2 years ago. And that was exciting, but also daunting because I'd only been a patron in the entertainment space, really. Yes, club promoting, but at the time, club promoting was, oh, you can bring people here? Oh, you're a vibe. Oh, you want to get paid to drink for free? I'm 20.
Less.
Say less. Um, but now there were different questions being asked. Now you're thinking about what's happening at the bar. You're thinking about how you're gonna market this. Where are ticket sales at? Okay, we're managing talent now. Okay, so and so needs this. Oh, how are we gonna grow this person's brand? There were a lot of moving parts which were on top of the things that I already seen at Arian with regards to cash flow and vision, mission, planning, selling, all these kind of things. But it was in a completely different space where it took, there were definitely growing pains where I was like, there was never a disbelief that I couldn't do this, but I was like, yo, how do you do this? Like, and that's where I always lean on the people that have done it before me. I love, and I have definitely inspirations that feel niche, like the likes of Elaine Ferrer, who the stuff that he's done with Cotton Fest. There's people like Georgia Vakian, who like the story with Daisies and Trevor Noah, and now with the It's Side Show. Like, there's always gonna be people that have done it before you. It's just about you adding a little bit of finesse to it. So when things started working nicely, I think it was when I just stopped being stressed about doing it the right way. There is no right way. If you do it your way and you kind of take the lessons that you've already learned of, okay, you failed here. Why did you fail? Okay, you failed because of this. Let's get straight back in the pool. Let's learn that breaststroke. It was things like that. So, and with entertainment, it's exciting, man. And there was there was and there is a moment why, specifically in events, that I live for. There's always a moment where the music might be playing a certain type of way. You might be with certain people that you're around, and the vibe just hits a different level where everyone there forgets about all their problems at home. They forget about what is stressing them, and they just live in the moment. And when I'm an organizer and I see this happen because of the weeks, months of planning that we've done before it, and it culminated in something beyond what we even thought could happen, I live for that moment, man. And it's I'm so grateful that we're able to create those moments with SOKE. We're able to create those moments with Chamomile Live, with all of the properties that we have in Cape Town, Joburg, Botswana, Zim, and the rest of the continent soon. Um, it's it's when I found that, okay, once you do look within and see that that feeling is worth chasing, I was like, okay, this is for me. And it was a different sense with Arion, where there were elements of it where I knew, okay, I really like this. I really like this. But in totality, bro, I never studied engineering. I can only consume so much tech and renewable energy information. And I also, even though I still am very young in rooms that I get into, it took away from me being the youngest person in the room with people that aren't on the same wavelength of you just via energy, and I wasn't mature enough at the time to realize that it was even happening. So upon reflection, it's like, okay, these are the certain things that were happening that were contributing to something negative. Now I'm in a place where, one, I can curate the certain things that contribute positively to everything that I am creating. It's also a sense of freedom because I've never wanted to have a boss. I've never wanted to work a 9 to 5. I've never wanted to have someone say, please get my coffee. Oh my goodness, a nightmare. Like, for myself. Everyone that wants to do that, I love that for you. But I think as soon as I was able to get my feet wet and actually like continue driving in it and like reveling in it, it was like, okay, we're creating experiences that people need. Like, life is tough, man. Like, the economic situation of the world, the things that happen, like there's always things happening. So what I love about entertainment too is that there are really talented people that are creating things that mean something for you. There's moments, man. There's moments where, I know we're gonna talk about Chamomile Live, but like there's moments that live on where I close my eyes and I can still see it. But I can't rest on the laurel that I just want to see that. I see the next one and the next one and the bigger one. And then when we're at the O2, and then when we're touring Japan, like my mind naturally goes to, how big can we possibly make this thing? And if life happens and we didn't get to that goal, but we tried to, I'm pretty sure we landed at a good place. Like, I trust my team, I trust my friends, I trust my family, I trust the people that are in my life that we're on the right path. It might not equate to the things that other people think that are important right now, but we found our ethos. We found what we find important, and that is community and community building. And your tribe will find you. And they find you in the craziest places. They find you when they're streaming your music. They find you when someone recited my poetry to me the other day. Like, shout out Shumba. We were talking about Chamomile Live Cape Town, and him being a vendor there. And then he sent the message, and I read it, and I was like, wow, that's a bar, man. Where have I seen this? And I was like, that's my poetry.
You're that guy, bro.
I mean, I guess. But like it's the beauty of curation, bro. Like creation with people. Ah man, it's beautiful, man.
It's so interesting that you're saying, like entertainment becomes so much more valuable in a world where things are hard because you get to forget and let go of those things weighing you down. And I know, like, a lot of people watching this, we've put application after application after application, gotten rejection after rejection after rejection. You, even worse, you got ghosted. You mentioned now you've never worked in a job that you applied for. What 5 pieces of advice do you have for someone who's looking for a job right now?
I think one of the biggest lessons I took from shout out Stuart Henry, our lecturer at our Genesis course for at UCT. He said, as long as you start with solving a problem, you're on the right track. Because if one person has that problem, another person has that problem, and another person has that problem, and then you've already got a clientele base now. And then you need to have the resolve and the bravery to have an MVP. And that minimal viable product does not need to be perfect. It just needs to work. And if it doesn't work, even better, because now you can iterate on it. So that's the first thing. If you're solving a problem, any kind of problem, and that problem can be as creative as we want on some, no one's making visual art in my hood. Do it then. If you have a passion for that thing, do it. That's your gap. That's your niche. Go straight into that. I think it's also the second thing, and maybe even I think the most important thing, and like the most important thing for me is network. The people you know and the people that know you are so important. They're literally your everything. They're your backbone. They're selling you when you're not even there. And the more you invest in that network, the more accurate what they're selling is. They know that, okay, cool, this is what Chamomile Live means to him. And it also what it means to Josh Dillon on the lineup and what it means to Sishi. Like they know more about the story. And then it's easier when they walk into a room and they're with a brand manager from there and they tell your story. That's his KPI because that space now is more valuable for him to put whatever service or product is. And now everyone in that ecosystem is benefiting from it. So when you're able to mutually provide value in your network, it just grows. And it's a little bit more of the thing of when I was speaking about the tribe, it will find itself. And once you start the building blocks of building your network and the right people keep jumping on and seeing the vision of the different things, they will look very different in the beginning and on the journey. But when it starts making sense, it's like, oh, okay, Josh needs a graphic designer. Okay, now I spoke to Paul yesterday. Let me send him this. Okay, no, this guy needs a studio and to shoot this. Oh, it's a TVC. Let me just send it to Abu. It's supposed to be that easy, I believe. And that it only is that easy when your network is that strong. That when I refer you to someone, I'm referring you to someone I know because I've worked with them this much and they're giving you quality. And I'm only referring you because you are also of quality. So it's definitely find a problem and a solution to that problem. The solution does not have to be perfect. Invest in your network, invest in networking, invest in yourself, upskill, learn, be brave enough to try things. Um, the finished product of you cannot be today. Then what's the point of us continuing? With all of the artists I work with, I always tell them that there's no ways you've written your best song. If you have, then let's call it a day. Like we did it then, you know. But I definitely believe that life needs to be that long-lasting search for it. I don't mind if we don't find it, because the journey will be worth it. I know the journey will be worth it. You asked for 5 things, 2 more things. Um, bro, can I swear? Yeah. Oh, don't be a puss, bro. Like genuinely, like treat someone like a human being. Like I like have respect, have all of these things because, like, I deal and not recurringly, but I deal with some people in business where I'm like, why did you have to say that thing? Why did you have to move like that? Like, why is that innately you? You know what I mean? And it really sucks when they're really good at their job and I admire the work they're putting in, because it's a thing of like, I'm gonna need to still work with you. You know, and like I'm not Mother Teresa, bro. I'm not gonna tell you that this thing is wrong. But like over time, this is only degrading one, your character, your brand, your reputation, your network. Because like that affiliation towards you, like, bro, don't be a boost, bro. Um and ooh, five. You know, I've been asking top fives on posties for years. And like I've been asking like really complex
The
ones and
turns have
reveling
tabled.
at it. Now I'm struggling to find the fifth one. Um, don't give up. Like it's gonna look dark. It's gonna not make sense. It's gonna look like, no man, this can't be for me. And if you believe it really is, don't stop, man. Because if you don't stop, you will win. It's literally maths. Like, if you continue doing this for the rest of your life, it'll hit sometime. You know how old Black Coffee is?
Bro, man's pushing 50, I'm sure.
He's 49.
Yeah.
Black Coffee, literally, his journey in the music industry like that started at 30, bro.
What?
We're not even 30 yet.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
Black Coffee, bro. So, like, when I hear stories like that, they just inspire me because it's like, you know what? Today was really tough. And maybe this week was tough. And this last 6 months was tough. But I believe in us, man. I believe in what we're doing. We spoke about it. We speak about it every day. When I close my eyes, I see it. And I'm still going to see it when I close my eyes tomorrow and in a week's time, in 6 months, and things. One day I'm going to open my eyes and it's going to be there. And that day, I'm going to live for that day, man. I have to live for that day. So that's my five. Woo! That was tough.
Yeah, that one was for every Posties guest who's been traumatized by Thembalethu on the Posties podcast.
Yo, they've been through a lot, I won't lie.
That one was for you. So no, but actually there was something that you said that resonated with me a lot, and was like, don't be a puss. And like it sounds so simple, but it's like, yo, dude. And it leads me to my next question is like, do you feel like there is a disconnect between the creative world and the business world? And if so, how do you bridge those two worlds together?
I do think there's a disconnect. I think there's a disconnect because of the structures in place in society and whatnot. The business one, there's formal systems to learn the things that are happening there. There's also people that can just hustle and learn on the go, but there's formal systems there. Whereas the creative vocation is just about creating. And Jay something said something in a podcast yesterday when we were shooting with him, when he was talking about like how he doesn't like being put in a certain box because it might mitigate other things. Like, yes, he is a musician, but that doesn't mean he can't run a business, you know? So knowing those two things can coexist, which I don't think a lot of musicians are told. I don't think a lot of artists are told that, yo, I know you like doing this thing. I know you're really talented at doing this thing. We're going to need to make money. You know, we're going to need to monetize. We're going to have to think about scaling if we're going to think about these goals. And I'm not saying you must think about it. Maybe you have people around you that you trust and a team and whatnot. But I don't even think there's platforms. Well, there are platforms, but there's not enough platforms where those conversations are being had, where now it's common knowledge that, okay, if I'm an artist, I need this, 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 and this, and this. Okay, that will solidify me because I hate the notion, specifically in South Africa and just over the world, that if you're an artist, you're struggling. Like, I hate that those things coexist, that you have to struggle to be an artist. Because I think artist is the most pure form of business. It's the most pure form of entrepreneurship because you're betting on yourself. You really think you can sing like that? Like, you really think you can sing like that? That you can monetize it forever and you're going to be singing your song on stages? Like, that's the goal that you have. But that's the goal you have on day one. Like, bro, day one, it was to sell one YBox. I didn't want to do anything beyond that, you know? But artists, and why I admire them so much, is that the goal on day one is so big. And because it's so big, it will drive you for so much longer. But now there's a little bit of a disconnect in the information you have to reach that goal. The consistency, the money management, the other elements, the marketing, everything needs to be, you need to become a business from day one. Like it can't just start with that talent. That talent will get you far. It could get you even all the way. But are you willing to take that risk without even just transitioning and having other things in place where, okay, I know that I'm dropping a song every 3 months so that this fan base I've cultivated are being fed. I'm active on social media. It doesn't even have to be you being active. It's just that those things are being cultivated so that the business, because when you look at these big businesses, they've got a marketing department, they've got a finance department, they have all these kind of things, and they are successful. Those systems can be minimized and put into a different kind of thing so that it can also create that same kind of success. And I feel like those conversations are not part and parcel with creating. So I definitely do believe there is a disconnect.
I think my next question is like, how do you connect those two things? Because being someone, I feel like Jay was talking about how he's coming from the creative world and now trying to get clout or credibility in the business world, and there's a struggle with that. And I also feel like when it comes to us, right, we coming from the business world wanting to connect with the creative world. And the reason why I was asking if you ever felt misunderstood earlier on was because I often feel like I'm misunderstood, because people know what we're doing in terms of like the business side of things, but there's a lot of creatives out there that will, in the words of our previous guest Slim said, well, look at us as losers because no, you're the nerd who did Arion Power. Why are you like selling Wi-Fi boxes? Like that doesn't count for much when you are trying to get into a section in the club to network with that or this person.
And I love that I love how you brought up that point because there was a little bit of that perception shortly after Arian. With people, I think it probably was a bigger perception, but like for people that were closer to have the thing on some, yo, bro, what happened? Is everything okay? Like where it's like, oh, you failed, hey, like that where I was literally like, okay, you stay over there. So I don't internalize that. I know it's happening. And I acknowledge, well, I don't even acknowledge it happening, but like I know it's happening, but it doesn't impact me at all because I know that for me to win this race, I'm running alone. Once I start comparing myself to people that were in sectors that I wasn't before or previous partners or other things happening in the world, I've lost the battle. I'm here to write my story. And how that story is written is purely based on how I write it. If you believe that, okay, you should have stayed for this long and then this was the time to think that, then go do it. And please come back and tell me how it is. But that's not my story. And I went on my journey to find out how my story will pan out. And that journey was taken knowing that it might not be successful. But the idea of success is based on me. It's based on how I'm writing the story and how I want it to be written. If it's not successful for you, that's fine. That's your opinion. You're entitled to that. I hope you keep it. But I know I am being misunderstood. But another thing that I egoically revel in is when it clicks. Because it even happened in Arian days. Like when we started Arian Power, there were a lot of questions at the beginning on some, I don't know if this makes sense. Like, is there a thing for this? And those people come around buying them, you know? And the same thing happens now on some, oh no, he switched to this now. I don't know. Now you're at the event. Now I see you there purchasing a ticket. I see you there commenting when we're thinking there. And I don't say that disparagingly on some, I told you so. No. It's just a thing of like, whatever path you're on, that's fine. I know what path I'm on. If ours happen to coincide, beautiful. But like, I'm not gonna let any energy that's potentially negative, um, and I don't want to mix it up with constructive criticism because I'll take that all day. But where it's a thing of like, nah, that nerd shouldn't be there, or that creative shouldn't even be in that boardroom. Who wrote that rule? Let's fire that guy. I think that guy should leave. So I definitely know exactly where you're coming from, and those consensuses are happening all the time. They're happening right now. They're gonna happen when people are watching this now, but they do not impact me anymore. It's I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. It's gonna be tough. It has been tough, but it is way more fulfilling than anything else because I'm doing with people I love. I'm making things I love. I'm create like I might have been speaking to you about this, but it is so amazing having a conversation, even with yourself or with someone else, and then you guys make it happen. Like, Josh, we were just talking about that thing. Now we're here on the back of our work, and people are enjoying, and people want us to do it again. Where? And where else? Come on, man. Like, this is the life I wanted to live. I might not have known it the whole time, but now that I do, oh, let's double down. Let's double down on this, man.
Amazing, bro. So now you've spoken about how, where you started, the lessons that I've learned, and you mentioned now you're on a pathway. Where does that pathway lead?
World domination, hopefully. That pathway leads to myself, my family, my friends, and my networks' dreams coming true. However big or small those dreams are. I, as you were speaking for like before, why I like connecting and not just having a once-off relationship like with my podcast guests and whatnot. And now you'll see afterwards I'm doing some management stuff with them or they're on gigs or whatnot. Is because I think that with so many talented and amazing people at your reach, it's kind of a disservice not to try to uplift it. And not to say that, I think you're doing that thing wrong. Nah, like I know I'm doing something right and I can literally give you this information for free. Like it doesn't take away from anything. Just like, guys, liking and commenting and sharing is free. Like do that now, please. So doing all of those things, it doesn't take away. It just gives. So the path now is literally I just want to be an active member of these communities that we're building. Like when the documentary comes out in whenever it does, and we can look back and be like, that's not just a moment I'm watching on the screen now, it's a memory. And it's a memory built on the back of something we wanted to create. It's gonna mean so much more. So being a part, like I just being like I don't need a lot in life, man. Like just knowing that I helped you get to there, and then nothing happens, fine. Or you never think just knowing that is so much for me. Because it's like one, it's proof of concept for myself to know that okay, cool, I'm providing value in the world. I'm I'm on a path of leaving this place better than I found it. And really creating amazing stuff that lives longer than we will. Because at the end of the day, that's what memory is. Like we're trying to create experiences that people speak about forever. That's what I want. It is a huge goal, but I really don't think we should be on this life thing if we don't have big goals. Like this is a blessing and an opportunity, and every day I'm grateful to God that I get to wake up and be like, okay, we go again. So I don't want to take that for granted. And my way of not taking that for granted is continuing to try and achieve the things we spoke about. Okay, we want to have neighboring studios. How do we do that? We keep posties happening. We keep C.Cast happening. We keep DJing. We keep growing Chamomile live. We keep all of those things because inevitability. It's inevitable that it will happen as long as we don't stop. And then being a part of that journey. Oh man, like I get goosebumps, man.
Nice. So what's next for the bowling club? What's next for Greenback Media? What can we expect to see?
On the Greenback Media side of things, we're trying to specifically with our different event properties, and I think the one that people know the most of is SOKE. We're really trying to have a foothold in Africa. We feel like the message with SOKE is so strong of being authentically African. And we're trying to make that in as many sectors as possible. We want to have a SOKE marketplace where people that are a part of our growing community can grow the community with money too. Um, because as much as we have a SOKE once a month in a different country, we know that we can do more. So it's for SOKE, it's more territories in Africa and beyond. It's showcasing more African talent in South Africa and beyond. And then it's also just growing. Um, we have Untamed Authority artists that were gigging in Congo, and that wasn't necessarily on the bucket list for to start the year. But now that we've done it, we have to do it again. Now SOKE has to go to Congo. So it's about growth. It's about growth in everything that we're doing. It's about working with brands more consistently, building out those business processes, and also imparting knowledge to the next ones. Like when we sign an artist, our mantra is that we need to take your life to another level. And that doesn't mean, okay, cool, you signed with us, now you became whatever superstar. It's that, okay, we're going to meet these promises that we sit you down with in this first meeting. Okay, you want X for your career, you want this for here. Okay, these are the steps that we're going to get there. For the bowling club, the bowling club is so close to my heart, and I love the work we're doing with Milan and Sishi. Um, because yeah, man, it's just next year we're definitely gonna break the borders of South Africa, and then also it's just growing more media properties around Sishi, and media properties that filter into our entire network, because we have such a strong network of people that are, one, talented, but two, are probably just missing the opportunity to be seen on that stage. That's why I loved what we did with the Chamomile Live previously, is that we're so lucky that we're around so many talented people, but there aren't necessarily those systems or platforms in place to show what that talent can do in front of people. And now that we've got that platform, we're just gonna keep doing it. Um, Posties, consistency. We just need to just keep dropping and keep growing and keep expanding our network. I'm excited for new poetry, and just kind of really delving into that world, because that space is very scary and very different, but somehow also quite welcoming and exciting. So it's very nice. Like I walk around, I'm like, you know what? I'm a published poet, man. Like it's something that I had thought of before, but I was like, oh wow, I'm actually doing that. And then it's just growth. I want to be better than I was yesterday, and I hope that energy filters on to the people that I interact with as much as I do.
Thembalethu Hadebe. It's been an absolute pleasure, bro.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
Let's go.
Today, we're joined by someone who doesn't just talk creativity, he builds the spaces where it thrives.
Collaboration and network is the new highest form of commodity.
We're sitting down with another OG in the game, someone who's been putting in the work for the culture long before people started calling themselves content creators.
Yes, money is access. Like I had the access, so I didn't need the money.
From the booth to the boardroom, Slim's been shaping the creative landscape in South Africa in ways that you do not even realize.
When you are in something new and you're in something like entrepreneurship, it is in your best interest to not know the road ahead.
He's gone from artist to architect of culture, content, and community.
Most of us as males struggle with self-love. At the foundation of loving yourself is discipline.
He's the operations manager at AMPB Studios, co-founder of Black Grind Coffee Co., a former hip-hop artist.
You cannot get something and appreciate it without sacrificing.
Today's episode is about turning hustle into infrastructure. If you've ever wondered how to actually turn creativity into community and cash, this one is for you. Slim,
Yes.
let's cook.
Come on, man.
Thank you so much for watching this latest episode of the C.Cast. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to achieve a huge mission and we need you to invest in it. The best way to do that is by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and leaving a comment down below. By doing that, you help the algorithm understand that we are offering content that is valuable and it will reach more people. There might also be someone out there that just wants to learn a lesson or who might be able to take something away from the podcast. Share it with them. And lastly, if you'd like to be more involved in the community, if you want access to opportunities, knowledge from our experience in the digital marketing space, or to connect with other people who are like-minded and uplifting the continent, for starting businesses and using tech and creativity to make them successful, join the WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code and we'll chat with you there. Until then, bye.